Good afternoon, everyone. A heartfelt welcome to all the passionate educators joining us from across India and beyond. Welcome to July, the season of reflection, renewal, and rejuvenation in learning. This month, we are thrilled to bring you a dedicated series of sessions focused on pre primary education, designed specially for teachers and educators who are shaping our youngest learners. Let's begin today with a thought. A teacher's growth never ends, it evolves with every classroom, every child, and every new idea. And by showing up here today, you have chosen growth, curiosity, and transformation. Our theme, Badalti Shiksha, Badalte Shikshak, captures the very essence of this evolving educational landscape. I'm Tanisha Tyagi, and I'm delighted to welcome you to today's session, part of our ongoing CPD 2025 journey. Today's session is titled Social Emotional Learning SEL for Young Children, an essential topic that lies at the heart of nurturing compassionate, confident, and emotionally intelligent learners. It is my absolute honor to introduce you to Dr. Nagamani Krishnamurthy. Dr. Nagamani Krishnamurthy brings with her over 34 years of rich experience in the field of education. She began her journey as a chemistry teacher and has since evolved into a respected teacher, trainer, researcher, coach, and a specialist in early childhood education. In addition to her extensive professional roles, she is the founder of Empower, an educational app dedicated to holistic learning. Her academic credentials are equally impressive. She holds a master's degree in chemistry, a master's in educational psychology, a doctorate in early childhood education, and certifications as a transformational life coach and career coach. We are truly honored to have her with us today. And here's something special for our engaged community of learners. On July 19th, we will be hosting a quiz based on all five pre primary sessions. So stand a chance to win Amazon vouchers worth up to rupees 20,000 and celebrate your learning journey with us. But before we dive into the session, here are a few housekeeping rules to help you make the most of this experience. Participants will be muted throughout the entire session. Please have a pen and paper ready to jot down important information. The chat box will be enabled during the Q&A round and as needed by the speaker. To receive your e-certificates, please fill out the feedback form that will be sent to your registered email ID after the session. And don't forget to participate in the quiz on July 19th after the final session. Stand a chance to win Amazon vouchers worth up to rupees 20,000 this July. And yes, all sessions are streaming live on YouTube, so you can revisit them at your convenience before attempting the quiz. With that, let's begin today's insightful session. Dr. Nagamani Krishnamurthy, the virtual stage is now yours. Welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Tanisha, for the warm welcome. It's always a pleasure to be back with Shant, and a very good afternoon to everyone present here. Thank you for choosing to spend your 1 hour with us, and I hope you will have plenty of takeaway after the session. So let me share the screen with you. Were you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am, but it's not in the slideshow mode.
Oh, okay. Are you
Yes,
able to
ma'am.
see? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. All right. All right. Is it working now?
Ma'am, it's not in the slideshow mode, but I guess you can start the presentation
Okay.
because
All
I guess
right.
it will take time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So before I start, I would like to ask all of you a question about what you think is success and what factors do you think will define success? If you can just type in the chat box, that would be great. Yeah. Okay. Hard work. Yeah. Go on. Discipline. Able to achieve what you think. Determination. Satisfaction. Yeah. Yeah. Growth. Right. Right. So I can see a lot of you are saying that, oh, determination is going to define success, or hard work is going to define success. Yeah. Having goals would make you work towards success, right? Okay. So if you think that it is only hard work, dedication, clear goals, vision, growth mindset, discipline, all of these are the only things which decide whether you are going to achieve success or not, type in yes. If you think that there is some other factor which is responsible for a person to achieve success, type in no. No, no. Yeah, somebody said yes. Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. Can you give me one personal factor which is going to either make or break your success? Family, yeah. Personal factor, I said. One person, attitude, okay, yeah. Uh, okay. Self-motivation, health issue, behavior. All right, all right. Yeah, yeah. Overconfidence, health, procrastination, emotions. Somebody said emotions. Okay, okay, okay. Let me go back to that. Yeah, somebody said emotions. I just missed who said that. But anyway, thank you for mentioning that. Feelings. Ria says feelings. Yeah. Okay.
Ma'am,
So,
sorry
yeah,
to interrupt. You are on
yeah,
slide one, right? On the
yeah,
topic.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm
No,
on
no.
slide one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. On slide one, right?
Yes.
The topic name.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. So, okay. So you said emotion. Pinky also says emotion. And I think this is one of the important factors which is going to decide whether you are going to take up your responsibilities, be disciplined, do the hard work, and achieve your goals, whichever you are purporting to achieve. So it's very important for us to think about our emotional state of mind before we go into any of our hard work or any of the factors which are going to decide success for oneself. So, as adults, if we are thinking of various aspects which are responsible for our success, what about our young children? When should we start looking at emotional development if we have to make these children into adults who are going to be more successful, who are going to be able to manage themselves and the people around them, who are going to be able to manage their families, their work, their career, and also achieve success in their personal and professional front. So, what do you think should be the right age to start emotional development? Can you just put in the number of the age, the year? Yeah. Can you tell me at what age? 5 to 7 years, 5 years from birth? Yeah. 3 to 10, 3. Yes. Go on, go on. From birth. All right. Yeah. 1 to 6, very early age. Okay, from birth. Okay, let me tell you that it is not from birth, it is before birth. Even when the child is conceived, when the baby is conceived, you should think of the emotional development of the young one within the mother's womb. And this is very important because the emotional state of the mother and the entire family is going to impact the brain development, which is happening in the baby during pregnancy. And that's the reason we are here today to talk about social emotional intelligence, which is going to impact the lives of these children. And as preschool educators, I think you have the power to impact the lives of young ones in your classrooms to make them become better individuals. So let us see what we can do to achieve this kind of success. Can you see the next slide? Yeah?
Yes, ma'am. It's
Okay,
visible.
that's good. Yeah. Okay, so in today's session, we are going to understand what is social emotional learning and why is it important in early childhood? What are the practical strategies which we can adopt in our classrooms? And what kind of activities can we have to make sure that our young ones are going to learn the skills for dealing with their own emotions? And how are you going to implement all these strategies in your classroom? So these are our objectives. So to begin with, let us understand what is social emotional learning. Now, as I said, that we have human beings experience different kinds of emotions, and these are going to impact our lives to a large extent. Because depending on how we are feeling, we either perform to the best of our abilities or we perform to a lower level or we are unable to perform at all sometimes. This must have been your experience too in your workplace or in your personal life. Am I not right? So, if you take emotions playing a major role in your life, what is it that we are trying to understand in these emotions? Is it with respect to only us? Is it with respect to the society around us? Is it with respect to our only family? Or is it with respect to the world at large? So, how are we going to start and where are we going to begin? And how are we going to navigate these emotions so that we and also the people around us are not going to get negatively impacted by our emotions or by our understanding of emotions in others. And we have 5 important aspects in social emotional learning. So, what are those? The first one is self awareness. Let me just show you what self awareness is. Okay. When you're talking about emotions within you, it is important to identify what emotions I'm going through in order to interact with others. First of all, I would like to know what is going on within me and then how to deal with it, how I can communicate what is going on inside me to the people around me. And then I will be going on to knowing the emotions of people around me so that my interaction with people around me is going to be a positive and a beautiful experience. And if you talk about self management, it is just that after I identify the emotions within me, I should be able to understand how I can express it. For example, I think in our classrooms we have seen many times that children do experience different emotions. Like they feel happy, they feel sad, they feel angry sometimes, and sometimes they are upset that they are not getting the toys which they wanted, or the teacher is not providing them the time or the space or the resources which they wanted, or the place where they wanted to sit. All these are uh, situations where it disturbs the emotion of children. And now, if the child is not able to identify exactly what kind of emotion is going on within the child himself or herself, then the child will not be able to manage it. I'll give you an example for understanding this. Now, let us say you have 2 children playing with the same toy. After a certain time of sharing, one of the children wants to have the toy to himself. And now this child is experiencing a different emotion. Say, for example, for the first 5 minutes, the child was able to share the toy with the other child. But after 5 minutes, this child has experienced a different emotion and the child wants to have the toy to himself. Now, what kind of emotion do you think is going on in this child who wants the toy for himself? Can you just put in the chat box? Yeah. What do you think? Possessive? No, I'm talking about emotion. Jealous? Okay, maybe. Mood swing, jealous. Mm, okay. Selfish, insecure, fear, angry. Yeah, yeah. Okay. Okay. Now, hold on. Now you have got so many different kinds of emotions, but we don't know what exactly it is, right? That's because I didn't tell you what this boy did. I just said that the boy wants to have the toy to himself, but I did not say his behavior. I did not mention what he is doing for you to understand what exactly is happening within this child. Now, let us say I tell you that this boy grabbed the toy from the other child. Then, what do you think is the emotion going on within the child? Type it in. Angry? Yeah. Okay. Angry. Okay. Not surprised. Not sad. Not annoyed. No. Not jealous. Because, see, this is where I wanted to draw your attention to how we are unable to understand the emotion in the child. Let us say he is not scared. No. He is not disappointed too. No. Let us say this child beats the other child and pulls away the toy from the other child, then what do you think it is? What do you think it is? No, he beats the other child and takes away the toy. Then he is now having anger because he is beating the other child. Okay. And he's also possessive because he is taking away the toy. Suppose I say he starts crying, then then what do you think is happening to this child? If he's, yeah, he's sad. He's probably helpless. Okay. Probably he doesn't even know what to do in that situation. Okay. It is grabbing attention to a certain extent, but it is not entirely true that that's the only emotion he's experiencing when he's crying. Okay. Now, you saw that there are so many kinds of answers, so many kinds of understanding which we are having with one particular situation, right? Therefore, it is important for us to teach the children how exactly to express this emotion. But first of all, if they have to express, they have to identify that emotion. Unless they identify, they will not be able to express. And that's the reason I said self-awareness is more to do with identifying correctly what is happening within oneself and then managing it. That is part of self-management. Now, I have identified, let's say I am the child who wants to have the toy, and then I'm very angry. I'm very angry. When I said angry, I just look at my eyebrows, I brought them together, right? Because I wanted to express that I'm angry. And if we are using specific facial expressions, body language, and the language for expressing emotions, then we are going to communicate that we are really angry in the tone of the voice. Everything should be a combination and then it should communicate the right kind of emotion. So, the first step is to identify the emotion. Second step is to learn the language, the facial expressions, the body language, and the tone of the voice, the tenor of the voice, and also any other body movements or gestures which can be used to help others understand what I'm feeling exactly. And then comes the social awareness. What is the social awareness? Now I have another child who is sharing the toy with me. I have to be able to understand what is the emotion which is going on in the other child. If the child is willingly able to give me the toy, then I can just ask for it. I need not show I'm angry or I'm sad or I'm helpless or anything at all. I can just ask for it and the child will be able to share the toy with me. This is social awareness because I am not only identifying my own emotion, I am also identifying the emotion within the other child, and therefore I am able to deal with it. And based on this, I am going to build a relationship with this child. Every time I play with this child, I know exactly what kind of facial expressions I have to use, what kind of body language I have to use, and what kind of language I have to use in order to play with this other child. So I have built a relationship now, right? And the same applies to the other child. Now, if all these are in place with every person in our lives, then life becomes beautiful. Don't you think so? Just close your eyes and imagine that you are able to understand exactly what you're feeling and you are able to understand how you can express this and communicate your emotion to the other people around you. It could be in your personal life, it could be in your professional life, it could be in the society at large. You are able to communicate perfectly how you're feeling, what you want from the situation, and what you are going to offer. If you're able to do all of that, then you will be having the support of everybody in your life. And that inspires you to work towards success. This is the foundational, what can I say? It is the foundation of a huge mansion which you're building in your life. And that mansion is filled with happiness and success and support and positive coercion between you and the people around you. And therefore, it is very important for us to build these skills very early in young children. If people have not been able to do it during pregnancy or in the first couple of years before the children come to the preschool, then you have got every chance to nurture these skills so that they are better decision makers, they are better at handling all the situations in their lives, and they are laying the foundation for lifelong success. So that is the reason we are here today and trying to find out what exactly we are going to achieve by nurturing the children in our preschool classrooms. So let us see why it is more easy and why it is important for us to deal with it in very young age, especially if the children are below 6 years. And those children who are in our classrooms are definitely below the age of 6. So now 90% of the brain growth happens before 6 years, that you all know. And this is just the bottom line, shows the growth, the rapid growth of the brain before the child reaches the age of 6, right? Now, since emotional skills are going to impact everything else in our lives, it is going to impact the learning, the behavior, the mental health of children. And therefore, the most important aspect in child's development is the emotional skills, based on which all other skills are built. And how is it going to impact the child in long term? The child is going to be a better individual at home, in the society, and the child will be able to achieve success because the child is able to understand itself and understand the world around them. Therefore, it is easy for them to achieve success. So let us see each of these areas and understand what exactly we can do to build self awareness, self management, social awareness, relationship skills, and making them responsible decision makers. So, what's the first thing? That's the self awareness. How do you recognize emotions? So, we just did an activity where we had a little exercise and we were trying to find out what are the emotions which are going on in a particular child. And since we are not completely aware of the situation itself, since I explained only part of the situation for you, as and when the situation opened up, you started telling me more clearer answers about what the emotion could be. But still, there were differences among all the people who were mentioning what could be the emotion which is going on inside the child. Now, what is the matter here? Why is it so difficult for us to find out what is the emotion which is going on in another person? This depends on my own personality, my own attitude, my own understanding of my emotions. And then I think that everybody else in the world is exactly like me. So I start thinking, oh, when I'm feeling jealous, I do this. So this child must be doing this. And therefore, I conclude the child is jealous. All this happens in microseconds, and you will not be able to deconstruct the entire process of why imagine that other person is having a particular emotion, right? So it's very interesting that our brain works at zap speed, and you will not be able to figure out why you're thinking the way you're thinking in a very detailed manner before you take action. And that's why you should be able to pause, slow down, and try to understand yourself and your emotions. Try to understand and name those emotions. Try to figure out the language, the body language, the facial expressions, the gestures which we use to communicate that you are having that particular emotion, and then try to teach the children. So, when you are having children in your classroom and when you want to teach the children about emotions, what do you think is the first step to do about yourself? Can you type in the chat box, please? What's the first step you are going to take if you have to make your children emotionally intelligent? Yeah, go ahead. Be neutral. Yeah, talking, identify and express our own emotions. Yeah, acceptance, not to hurt. Yes, make them comfortable, use pictures, analyze, play with them, patience. Okay, okay. You are in the right track. Be friendly, be patient, think critically. All these are jargon. I say it is jargon because these are all words, but are we practicing them? Is the question. How much are we able to practice this? We know all these words, we know all the terminologies. Are we able to practice it? How many of you are practicing what you're writing there? Yeah? Say yes if you are practicing what you are writing. If be honest to yourself, you are not answerable to me. You're answerable to yourself, right? Yeah. If you are able to practice whatever you're saying, then you say yes. Okay? Yeah. If it is no, it is fine because that's also understanding yourself. That is self awareness, right? If you're able to do it to a particular extent and not completely, then also it is fine because you are on the way and you understand that you are on the way. It's always a good practice to self evaluate correctly so that we know where we are and we can try to be better. I appreciate the people who are writing sometimes, depends on the situation. And some people have written sometimes, and some people have written, I'm trying. Some people say no. These are all very good answers, right? Because you are having the growth mindset to understand that you're trying your best, but you're not it there. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. And therefore, when you're trying, when you want to understand, you have to be very, very neutral and unbiased and don't be judgmental. Many times, what happens is we start judging people for whatever may be the reason, for anything at all, for everything. And it becomes a habit to judge others, saying that, oh, she is always like this. She always fights. She always beats up the other child. Or he is always aggressive. All these are judgmental. And I encourage you to avoid being judgmental. If you see a child who is showing any aggressive behavior, it is your responsibility. I'm repeating, it is your responsibility to understand why that child is behaving aggressively. What was the root cause in that particular situation? It is not that he is always aggressive. No, he is not. It is just that in a particular situation, this child is showing aggressive nature. And what was the root cause of it? Analyze it and rectify the way he communicates whatever he is feeling at that particular point of time. That is creating self-awareness in children. Now, when you teach them that if you want something, you should not beat up the other child. Instead of saying don't beat them up, you say if you want your toy, this is what you need to do. You need to ask for it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ways. Show them the way they have to ask. And if one doesn't work, how to use the other method. Now the child will start understanding, oh, okay, this is the emotion which is going on inside me, and this is what I need to do. This is how I need to talk. This is how I need to communicate. And this is the result which I'm going to get. If I'm not able to get that result, I'm going to use the second strategy. If that also doesn't work, I'm using the third one. If that also doesn't work, I don't have any more patience. I'm going to scream. Because they're children, remember. They are not adults. Even adults will scream, right? You and I will lose patience at one point of time and we will say, oh, I can't take this anymore. And you will scream because you've used 1, 2, 3, 4 strategies and you're exhausted. Similarly, with children, maybe with one strategy itself, the child may get exhausted. But you need to be there. You need to be there by the side of them, encouraging them to use one or the other strategy till they get the result. It will not happen overnight. It is not a one-day process. It is not a magic wand. Staying with them for days and months will help them to build confidence in themselves, in identifying who they are. And when they are able to identify, when they are able to communicate, they will see the joy of being who they are, appreciating who they are. Remember, making them aware of their own emotions will not only build confidence, will build their self-esteem. So they'll become very confident individuals. They know what they're doing. They're not randomly trying something. They know exactly what they want, what they're feeling, how they communicate, what they get. And this is a very structured approach. And that is why it is going to help them in the long run. Okay. Now, let's go to what happens in the case of self-management. Now, as I said, children are children, developing individuals, and they may not be able to learn all the strategies very easily, and it is a process. And during this process, we have to be there next to them, helping them to use different kinds of strategies. So you have seen all kinds of children, right? There are aggressive children, there are children who are very emotionally dysregulated. There are children who are very quiet and shy and they don't say or do or ask for anything. They remain very silent and quiet. There are all kinds of children. We have a range of children with different kinds of personalities and different behavior. So now, when we want to deal with all these children, each one requires different kinds of support from you. And that is why you should be ready with a bouquet of ideas which will help all kinds of children. So if you see an aggressive child, a very distressed child, and a child uh, whose behavior is very distressing for not only you, for himself, and for everybody around, then you need some calming techniques. And we are a country having millions of resources for calming down. Other countries are trying to follow our pathway to help themselves deal with their emotional uh, dysregulation. So we have, for example, I say that in our country, we start the day with certain morning rituals, right? So that ritual itself sets us into a particular mold in which we are coming down. Yoga is another technique which you can use for calming down. Simple breathing is another thing which helps them to calm down. One very important technique which you all have to know is using lower tones or whispering to children, which works amazingly well because when adults lose their patience or when they don't know what to do with the behavior of the children, we tend to raise our voice. We scream. Can you tell me what is the reason for screaming by any person? Can you type it? Frustration, impatience, to bring fear, attention. All right, attention. Yeah, angry, pending work, emotionally weak. No, we are not emotionally weak. There is one purpose for this screaming. What is the purpose? Attention, concentration, aggression. Their habitual release stress. No, calm down them. No, no. What is the purpose of screaming? Making silence? Really? We are not heard. Yeah, yeah, yeah. To be heard. Yes. Yes. We are not heard. Right? You all said attention, but still, more specifically, we want to be heard. And we think by raising our voice, we will be heard, which is not true. Right? Doesn't make us to be heard if we are raising our voice. So, what we need to do is we need to communicate using the correct words, and then they will be able to understand. And therefore, what I suggest is yeah, one should never scream. I agree with you, Roshni. You're right. One should never scream because you're showing that you are helpless. When you start screaming, the other people in the room, or even if it is a child, the child will understand that you have lost control over the situation. That's what it means. That's what it communicates. And therefore, what you need to do is instead of screaming, when you feel like screaming, just start whispering and then whisper into children's ears whatever you want to communicate to them and see the magic happening in the children. They will start behaving the way you want them to behave because they are going to pay attention to what you're saying. If you're screaming, it gets lost in the room. But if you are whispering, they know that they have to concentrate in order to hear what you're saying. And that's the reason whispering definitely works. Okay. So use calming strategies, use whispering, and you can teach children how to wait and take turn by playing games with them. See, emotional development is serious business, I agree. That's for you and me, not for children. For children, it should be a play. It should be a game. It should be entertaining. It should be enjoyable. Only then they will start understanding that this is part of life. And life is beautiful. Life is not going to be stressful if you understand what is happening. And that's the reason you have to make them enabled in such a manner that they are able to understand what is happening to them and what is happening to the others. So make them to learn how to take turns. Make them to learn how to identify and communicate emotions. Make them to learn how to calm down on their own. Okay. Impulsively, they may be bashing out at somebody, but after your play or after sharing the technique and strategies with the children, they should be able to manage these impulses and they should be able to do better. And that is why you need to understand that you have to share the strategies in a playful manner, make them understand, make them practice, and then let them be. And then what happens is they will be able to perform better, right? Okay. So now that you have shared the strategies, now that you have made them to practice, what is the next step we have to do? What's the next thing we need to teach the children? Okay, I have understood. I'm able to communicate what I want. I'm able to get the result. I'm able to deal with my own emotional ups and downs, and I'm able to calm myself down. I'm able to manage my impulses. All this is beautiful. But I am not alone in this world. I am surrounded by other children. I'm surrounded by teachers, parents, all kinds of people in my life, whether it is in the school or at home or in a community. I am going to be surrounded by people. Now, is it important for me to understand what is going on with others? I'm not the only one in my life, and I cannot be thinking that everything rests on me. And if I'm taking care of myself, everything will be beautiful. No, I have to understand others in my life. I have to take care of others in my life in order to become successful. This is my life, my success, but it has other factors which are going to play a major role in my life. How so? If you take a child, let's say the child is very well behaved, it does not have any tantrums, it does not have any disruption, and is a very well behaved boy, and he is going to a school, preschool, where the teachers are very nice, everything is going on fine. What are the chances of him becoming successful? Is it 100%? Is my question. If so, type in yes. Yeah. Can you tell me? No, no, not necessarily. Yes. Why not necessarily? Because there are other children in the class. I talked about the school, I talked about the teachers, I talked about this child, but I didn't talk about the others in this classroom. Let us say there are other children who are going to disrupt this child's behavior or this child's participation in the class or this child's efficiency with which he is doing the work. Then the whole thing will crumble down. You will not be able to confidently say that 100% this child is going to be a success because there are other children in the classroom. And the way they interact with this child also plays a role. And that's the reason why we need to nurture the qualities in children where they can actually recognize what is happening with the other children around them, how to deal with it, why they are so different, because we are all different. We deal with different situations in different ways. Same situation in different ways. We cannot be dealing with it in the same way, right? But to bring some method in this madness, we have to train the children to find out what exactly is happening with the others. How can I understand their emotions and their circumstances? And how do I learn to appreciate the difference and help the others to succeed while I am also succeeding? This is an important skill. So, to do this, are you doing it in your classrooms? If so, can you tell me what is the methodology you're using? Can you tell me? Are you helping children to understand others in the class? Are you? Say yes or no. Buddy learning. Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's very good. Right. Role play. Yeah. By empathy, I saw that somebody said by empathy, but you need to have definite strategies for making them to empathize. Right. So you can take role play. You can take group activities. Yes, you can do that. Uh, Peer learning, yeah, team games. But what is your outcome of these activities? Can you just tell me what is the outcome you're expecting out of these activities? Cooperation, sharing, yeah, that is fine. But how are you going to? Cooperation and sharing is not empathy. Let us say, I'll give you an example. I'll give you an example. There are two children. One child is very quick in catching any instructions, understanding any instruction, and doing it quickly and achieving the target. There is another child who takes 10 times the time to reach the same target. How do you think you can make these two children to be in a group? And do you think that you can help both the children? Yeah, Puja Ganesh. Yeah, that's the reason I'm talking about this. Yes, I will get back to you. Yeah, right. The faster one can help the slow bloomer. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So now what happens is it is left to you as a teacher to pair up children or to have a group in which you are giving definite roles to every child. Also, you have to pay attention to how you are going to enlighten each child about the other children's style of learning or style of performing. Then they will be able to understand others. And you should also help them to not ridicule the other children for their speed or for their style of performing or for anything at all. That will make them become empathetic. And this is an important aspect because we cannot expect everybody to be like us, and we have to respect everyone for who they are. That's the reason you need to engage children in group activities in such a manner that children are able to appreciate each other's talent and each other's challenges. So when one child sees the other person struggling, you have to encourage the child who is able to figure out the way to help the child who is facing a challenge. And then what happens? There is harmony, there is cooperation, and you are developing empathy in children. So they try to help each other. They don't try to pull each other's legs and make the other person fall down, which is an important lesson to be taught in children now, in the present generation, that we have to all work towards success of each other and not just individual success, and make them to work together as much as possible. Appreciate everybody's positive traits and give them support where they are struggling. This is going to make all the children to become empathetic. If you are exhibiting empathy in the classroom, in every situation, then children will be able to emulate those qualities from you and they will become more empathetic. And that's the reason you need to involve all the children in such a manner that you have enough opportunity to show your empathy, and you also are encouraging the children to show empathy towards each other and also towards you. Right? Okay. Now, what is the next thing which is going to happen? Now that they are able to understand other children in the class, they have to start building relationship. What do you think is the first and foremost aspect which anybody has to consider when they're building a relationship? What do you think? Trust. Yes. Respect. True. The first thing is the trust. Correct? If you trust, then you will start building all other aspects of relationship. Then you need to respect. You need to care. You need to empathize. You need to understand. You need to believe. Yeah, great going. You're all wonderful teachers, aren't you? Children must be very happy in your classrooms. Am I right? Yeah. You should be caring. Yeah, you should have faith. Uh, yeah, I know. I know. I can see the wonderful classrooms here, which are going to be so beautiful with all the love and care and all the empathy you are showing in the chat box. So, what you need to do is you need to make the children to start understanding what is a relationship and what is it built on. So, you can create small little situations where they can do this role play. And remember, role play is a very beautiful activity in young children's classrooms, especially in preschool classrooms, because that's the age when they learn by imitating and they learn by action. So, whatever you want them to do, if you do it in the form of a role play, they will be able to understand it very quickly and they will be able to emulate the qualities which you want them to imbibe and they will become better individuals. Others will be able to understand them better because they are practicing the behavior in the role play. That's the reason you should choose role play as one of the activities for nurturing any kinds of skills in young children. So you start from building a relationship with sharing. Why we need to share and what is the joy of sharing. How do you teach them that? You just make a activity in which there is joy only when the activity is done together, right? Where only when they share something there is joy. When they do not share, there is no joy. A simple example is playing a ball. Okay. Playing a ball with oneself is not as enjoyable as playing a ball with another child, right? When you throw a ball and the child throws the ball back to the first child, there is joy. If the child is playing the ball on its own, then if the ball goes somewhere, the child has to go himself or herself to get the ball, right? So simple activities can be made to teach children certain values and certain aspects very easily. It need not be rocket science. It can be simple things with children, day to day things, common activities, everyday situations, which can be used for making children to learn that they need to share. And then make them work together in a group, cooperating with each other to build something beautiful out of the Lego bricks or out of sand or out of clay. And they will understand that together they were able to do such a big one, but alone they will take longer. They will struggle, right? These are certain activities and these are certain aspects which you have to keep in mind when you are nurturing young children. Now, one very common situation which we come across in preschools is conflict between two children.
Hi, ma'am.
Yes.
So sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Ma'am, it's already 4:15.
Yeah.
Can we just,
Oh,
no?
oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah. I think I've come to the end of it almost. I just have one more slide. So, resolving conflict is also one more aspect which you can consider. And I'll quickly go through the last one, that is making them to do the responsible decision making. So, in all these situations which I was mentioning, you can help them to make a decision which is going to be based on all the aspects which I mentioned earlier. So, every situation can be used as a decision making situation because every moment we are making a decision, we are making a choice, right? So, I think with that, I would like to end the session by saying that you can bring SEL into daily practice by integrating it into routines and using all the ideas in your everyday situations, using calming strategies and techniques and activities which are going to be nurturing the emotional intelligence in young children. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Participants, if you have any questions, we can quickly take one or two questions if you have.
Okay, there is one question here from Pooja Ganesh. I think she asked me before also. There's one boy in the class, he doesn't sit quietly, he unnecessarily hits others, takes their things and hides them. Okay, so here I think this boy has got certain needs which are not met. You have to find out what is the situation at home, whether he does that very often in the house too. And also, whenever he does that next, I think you need to teach him how to ask for things, right? And he may be hitting the others not because he doesn't like them or something like that. Sometimes when they want to express love, they hit. Yeah, this is very common and it should be avoided. You should try to investigate that and teach him how to ask for things and teach him how to express what he feels.
Yes, ma'am. There's one more question.
Yeah,
How to deal with special need children like autism, socially and emotionally?
yeah. So when you talk about autistic children, I think they need to be dealt with in a very different way. Depends on how severe the autism is. And if the child is having severe autism, they need to be dealt with in a very different way and they will learn in a very, very slow pace. So, all the milestones which you are expecting the child to learn will be at least, I can't say how many times it is slower. It depends on the severity of the autism. And special needs children need to be dealt with completely differently. I have not talked about them in this session at all because that's a that's a different ball game altogether, right?
Well, thank you so much, ma'am, for this exceptional session. Your wisdom and practical strategies have truly enriched our understanding of social emotional learning in early childhood. Let's carry these learnings forward to create nurturing, emotionally aware classrooms where every child can thrive. And to all our educators, thank you for your presence, your energy, and your continued commitment to growth. This is what Badalti Shiksha, Badalte Shikshak is all about. But the learning doesn't stop here. Up next at 4:30 p.m., we invite you to our final session of the day, Holistic Assessment in Early Childhood, a comprehensive approach to child development, led once again by the incredible Dr. Krishnamurthy. So take a short break and come back recharged. We promise another session filled with insight and inspiration. Stay tuned, stay inspired. We'll see you soon. Thank you, ma'am. See
Thank
you.
you.